motherfucker! You didn't howl at the moon!
Paul, say something stupid.
Bologna, fudge, and mustard! My life is being ruined by the internet!
I'm here to stay. Make a good lucha thing.
Where's my fucking champ?
This will be the moment, starting now, of the genesis of McGillicuddy.
We're going to the top of the totem pole.
This is the Wrestling Botchcast with your hosts, Scotty the Brain and Sean Bradshaw Layfield.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestling Botchcast. I am Scotty the Brain. I am joined today, as always, with Mr. SBL on the other side.
What up?
We got a lot going on this week, and it's been a big week. It's been a big week. We had the smallest build to a pay-per-view of all time. Mm-hmm. We have some crazy news about Jason Jordan.
Yeah.
Some crazier news about Daniel Bryan. We're going to talk about merch. I mean, we got all kinds of stuff on the docket today. A lot of good episodes this week from Raw and NXT. The other ones are up for debate. But we'll get into all that in a second. Before we get into that, I want to let you guys know you can follow us on Twitter at Botchcast, and you can hit us up on Facebook.com/Botchcast and on Instagram.com/WrestlingBotchcast. So find us on there. Our website's wrestlingbotchcast.com. You can find all the links to that stuff there. And now that we got all that nonsense out of the way,
that was a real mouthful.
It was. I've been practicing at home in the mirror. No, I haven't. I haven't. All right. So first, let's talk a little bit about this report came out earlier in the week, and I think it's kind of made its rounds and has settled now. But WWE apparently did not return Dave Bautista's calls this year. He was, I guess, originally one of the top 3 candidates to tag up with Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania, and on a recent interview, he said that he tried calling him back, and they didn't return his calls. So, how do you feel about the animal, SBL?
First off, let me say I was at Royal Rumble 2014. I was there for the birth of Bautista. And I wasn't really booing so much as just standing disappointed, just like everyone else probably in the crowd was. I kind of felt like it was going to happen anyway, so there wasn't a part of me that was like, how could this be? You know, I feel like everyone that was there was like, all right, what is happening is very clearly happening. There was no surprise. So, in spite of that, however, I feel like it was an all right run for him the last time around. I don't think he embarrassed himself like a lot of people did. And he's a big star now, and he's a guy that is not only a huge star in Hollywood, but he actually wants to work with you and doesn't feel like your product is an embarrassment, which I feel like he's probably one of few big celebrities that feel that way. So why wouldn't you work with him?
That's what I don't get either. The fact that he right now stars in the biggest movie in the world. Mm-hmm. He obviously is a draw. People were talking about him after the movie. You know, we're not going to get into all that, but he still obviously is a big name. And I feel like he's a bigger name than Kurt Angle as well. Now,
for sure.
How they make that story work, it would be interesting. I think that may be where they hit a roadblock, is to how do we work this guy into this story? Mm-hmm. Because he wasn't already a part of it. You're basically introducing someone new into this story that had nothing to do with it. You know, dating back to the first time Ronda was in WrestleMania.
I agree with that, but you know that if it was The Rock, his music would just hit, he'd cut a promo, and that would be that. You don't necessarily need a story. She just needed a partner. She needed Triple H and Stephanie to kind of gang up on her, tip the scales, and then Batista's music hits, and boom, you have a feud.
You could, but it made more sense, I think, for either Kurt Angle or The Rock, because The Rock was there the first time she showed up at WrestleMania, and Kurt Angle was already there, and it's really easy to put together a storyline where the commissioner feuds with the general manager.
Absolutely.
It's an easy angle.
Both scenarios made more sense.
Pun intended.
That's not to say that when Bautista's music hits, the crowd still doesn't lose their minds and we're all good.
Exactly. I mean, you're right. You're right, but I think they went the easier route on that. Not to mention, I'm sure Bautista's schedule is difficult to work around at this point as well, with him doing all the Marvel movies and things. But in the end, I don't know that we would have gotten a better match than we got having Bautista in there.
I would actually argue that we would get a slightly worse match simply because all of the storyline elements were there and working perfectly, and the match was perfectly booked. But I still feel like there's a spot for Bautista. Again, he's a huge, huge star. If they don't think he's a big star, then they are completely out of touch, because Guardians of the Galaxy is probably your number 2, like worldwide we're talking, like probably the number 2 money franchise, second only to the freaking Avengers. Well, maybe 3, maybe Star Wars, then the Avengers, then Guardians of the Galaxy. Right. It's, we could bicker and argue about what the biggest, which franchises make the most, but the fact of the matter is he's top 5 easily. And I'm a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan, and I feel like everyone, myself included, thought that he was the standout in the sequel. He was he was kind of the one that kept, the funny moving along. It kept the plot on course, if you will.
Yeah, I agree with that. He was funnier than Chris Pratt's character was in that, and that's saying something.
Right.
But, I mean, when it comes down to it, I think the guy just wants kind of his retirement tour. I think that's really what he's looking for at this point, to kind of put closure into that part of his life before he gets too old to do it. I've heard him in a couple of interviews recently even say almost the exact same thing.
Yeah, he wants one more run. He wants to do house shows, and then he wants it to end with Triple H.
Exactly. He just wants to get that last little bit out of his system. I mean, Triple H is nearing the end of his run as well. I mean, I think it would suit them both perfectly. Maybe end it at Royal Rumble next year, or WrestleMania next year, because Bautista doesn't have a whole lot of time left. He's getting up there in age, and he's going to get to the point where he's not going to want to have the rigorous workout schedule, once the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff settles down, which it will eventually.
And Bautista has said Bautista has shown us time and time again that he's a very giving person as long as the creative is right. He had no problem doing the job for Daniel Bryan.
Yep.
He said that countless times in interviews. He was willing to get pinned by the Shield as long as it meant an Evolution reunion. He was doing nothing except for Del Rio, who he beat. He was doing jobs for everyone in that run. And I mean, like, for a big star, that's pretty gracious, in my opinion. I don't think you get the same ideas and creative out of Bill Goldberg, and he's a much lesser star.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess we'll see what they do with him, if anything. I mean, he may not make his way back there again. Ties may have been cut at this point. He sounded a little bitter about it, but I guess
he sounded sad. But he also said, like, I'm a WWE guy for life. I love the place. I'd love to go back. But to be honest, I'm fine with just Drax, man. I'm fine with Bautista. He was awesome in Blade Runner. He's had a few other kind of things going his way. He's a name in Hollywood now, and truth be told, he's bigger than WWE, and not vice versa. That's true, considering how many eyes are on him with these movies.
Yep. So, all right, well, let's move on. Daniel Bryan was apparently not cleared this week because of his chest from Greatest Royal Rumble. If you guys have seen the picture circulating, his chest looked like just chopped meat after the Greatest Royal Rumble. Apparently that was care of Roderick Strong. Mm-hmm. Respect Roddy. Hits like a beast. But after all that, they still put him in a dark match after 205 Live against Nakamura, which ended in a DQ, and you can guess how. I'm going to guess that he got punched in the dick. You would be correct, my friend. Sure. There was indeed a dick punch that happened. Richard Puncher came back. He made an encore appearance that night. Yep. And that's pretty much all he does now. Yeah. So, Daniel Bryan, not hurt. Just wanted to clear that up for everybody. That was really a 100% work on the WWE side. Probably to keep him off TV for an extra week. just to build him up a little bit more, and people are going to want to see him at Backlash now. All right, moving on.
Do you think he's top 5 in merch? Daniel Bryan?
I don't know.
I don't even know who sells.
I don't think he's top 5 in merch just because he doesn't have a whole lot of merch right now. You look at some guys have like 4 or 5 shirts out. And
do you think that's why Roman is so hot, is because he has 10 shirts?
I honestly think that's a big part of it.
Okay.
So we're going to talk a little merch for a second. There's been talk going around for the last couple of months as to why merch sales are what they are, who's buying the shirts, why are certain guys selling way more than others, namely Roman Reigns.
Yeah, how could he possibly be saying? He's booed everywhere he goes, nobody likes him, nobody seems to like him, and yet somehow he's number 2 neck and neck with AJ Styles. I don't really get that. I feel like AJ is a respected worker and John Cena is an international superstar. So can Roman Reigns hang with those two? I don't know. I don't see it, but apparently it's happening.
I think there are just so many closet Roman Reigns fans that once you're in the thralls of a live event, then it's just the cool thing to boo him. Everybody else is doing it, so why shouldn't you? You don't want to be that one guy that's cheering him next to 20 others that are booing him around you.
Okay.
I think
I feel like this is I think this is mostly children that are buying Roman Reigns merch. I just can't see any other. You know what? Maybe you're right. I'm not a Roman hater necessarily, but I wouldn't boo him, I don't think. But I don't like him. So, I don't enjoy his shtick,
I don't enjoy really anything about him. I can't say I'm a hater. I'm a strong disliker. Just because I feel like they don't have him in the correct position in the company.
I agree with that. I think his work is okay though.
Right.
I just don't think that he. Actually, let me walk that back for a second.
Walk it back.
Walking backwards, I think matches where I've seen him. Okay, so you may not remember this match, but he had a Hell in a Cell with Bray Wyatt, probably 3 or 4 years ago, that I loved. I thought it was an excellent match. The Roman that we see today that does 50 Superman punches in a match, I could do without. But, when he engages his full repertoire and goes toe-to-toe with someone that can actually work, I like him. I think he's a good talent, but I just don't think he's booked the right way. Should be a heel. Everyone's been saying it forever. So, and I feel like the experiment of trying to make him the company, the next Cena, is a total failure.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have said it better than I could at this point. He's just one of those dudes that needs to settle into the mid card for a while, stop getting all these high profile main events, and let someone else kind of carry the load at this point.
Oh yeah, the title matches have to be done.
Right.
Because you've lost 6 of them. It's over.
Right, move on. Put somebody else in. There's enough dudes coming in there now that
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't see any reason that they need to continue that storyline, which leads directly into one of the next things we want to talk about.
Speaking of guys coming back.
Yeah, well, Keith Lee.
And coming in.
Keith Lee might be signing an NXT contract. There's a lot of speculation going on right now that Keith Lee, if you don't know who Keith Lee is, he's been working the indies for a long while. He's a very big dude, but very agile. He reminds me a bit of, I guess he's a little Samoa Joe-ish.
A little bit, yeah.
In the way that he's agile. He works the ring really well. He doesn't work the ring like a big man, but he is a big man.
Yeah, he's Cassius Ohno-ish to me.
Yeah, and he's had some pretty big matches with Ricochet, so if he can hang with that dude, he's going to do great when he gets in there.
Yeah, I think they've had their eye on him for a while.
I think a lot of people have. He's been one of the bigger names on the indie scene for a little while now, and finally it looks like they're going to pull the trigger on him. I think they've been waiting until some of these other guys kind of got moved up, so there was space for him right now, because NXT just seems so... It's bulky right now.
I was just going to ask you, there's so much talent. Do you think there's a salary cap in NXT for indie guys?
I think there is. From what I've heard, they don't make a ton of money in NXT.
No. From what I've heard, they lose money.
Exactly. Well, the wrestlers themselves don't even make a whole ton. Last I heard, they're making like $25,000 a year base salary, but it gives them the ability to go out and do other indie jobs, and they can book themselves elsewhere, which helps them supplement that income, as well as like the merch sales and stuff. A lot of them, have like a T-shirt up on the shop and things like that. But when it comes down to it, they're not making as much as the main roster guy. I'm sure
I
them
find
having
25 hard to believe, because that's like Walmart salary.
It's super low. It may be higher than that. I've just seen a couple of reports saying that it was around that general vicinity, which I imagine it's probably higher now that NXT is doing a lot better. They're doing a lot more live shows. There's not as much. They're not based around Full Sail anymore because they're doing more tours. 4 or 5 dates at a time. They're going out. They're going over to England in a month. So
yeah, I feel like if you're bringing a guy in now, again, this is just my opinion. This isn't even speculation, but you gotta pay at least $50K.
Yeah, especially to those guys that are working hard. But you got to think about too. At the same time, they do one taping a month for NXT, and then they just they break that up into segments. Basically you get 1 hour chunk a week of that one taping that they did.
Yeah, but they always talk about, and have you seen those like little mini faux documentary reality shows on NXT? Like their job essentially, according to WWE, is just working out
at the Performance Center.
Going to classes, getting in shape. I mean, that's really what they're paying them for. It's not the actual wrestling so much.
They're learning the WWE way. That's what I always wondered though, and this is what concerns me the most about it. When you get guys like EC3, like Ricochet, like possibly Keith Lee, that have been working in the indies for so long, to get them in there with some of these babies that may have just joined up with the NXT brand, they may just be starting wrestling. How in the world do they separate those two and decide, okay, well, this guy's kind of at super advanced level. He doesn't have a whole lot of work he needs done. I mean, I don't understand what they do with them at that point, because a lot of them don't need a lot more work because they're already at a very high level. They could honestly jump right to the main roster and do just fine.
I was actually listening to the Something to Wrestle With CM Punk episode, and I only heard the first part of it, but he talked about why they sent him to OVW instead of straight to the main roster, and it was they feel like a lot of indie wrestlers develop a lot of bad habits and do a lot of unsafe things because they were never trained properly. So I think part of it is retraining. I've also heard from other people that there's an aspect of like knowing how to work the camera that you don't get on the indies because you never have to do it.
That makes sense. Like working the hard camera, making sure that you line your spots up towards it. I can understand that. And I know that there's a big difference between indies and WWE when it comes to wrestling style. That's why you see a lot of different spots on places like Ring of Honor, like NJPW, because a lot of those moves and a lot of those high flying spots that they do, I don't think WWE is cool with, because they don't want their dudes getting hurt. They're more concerned about safety than a lot of those indies are. Not saying that the indies aren't concerned about safety, but at the same time, WWE works a much more rigorous schedule than, Ring of Honor. At most, they're doing 4 dates, in a row sometimes.
Right, and
they're off for 2 weeks.
I also feel like we've seen banned moves lists leaked tons of times. I mean, we all know full well that you can't do a pile driver, you can't do specific things.
Right.
You couldn't even do a Styles Clash when AJ first came in. Chris Jericho, I think, had to lobby for it to be used. So I think it's responsible, and it's about safety, and there's all this information out in the world about concussions, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, imagine a Will Ospreay, damn near snapping his neck on the ring apron.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was insane. WWE actively tries to avoid those situations, especially considering the target demographic as well. They don't want kids seeing someone get severely injured during a match. I mean, leg problems, things like that, that's different. That doesn't look as bad as someone, getting slammed right on their neck on the apron,
Funny sidebar. So, like, my nephews wrestle all the time now. And my mom, who is, watching them, is like, oh, they're doing wrestling moves. They shouldn't do that. And I was like, I did that all the time when I was a kid. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, but they're really hurting each other. I'm like, do you honestly think I never got hurt doing that? I got hurt constantly.
I beat my brother's ass all the time. I would test out moves on him constantly. You can ask him. I used to, I saw the figure 4 leg lock for the first time. I was like, shit, I got to try that. Sharpshooter. My brother was putting a sharpshooter more times than I can count.
Oh my God. If I had a dime for every time I almost snapped my neck doing some ridiculous wrestling move that I shouldn't have, and had no business doing, I'd have no less than $3. So.
Hey, they didn't have the disclaimer back then. Do not try this at home.
Right.
We didn't know any better. We just did it.
Mm-hmm.
We just did it. Speaking of Snap Next, Jason Jordan could be back on Raw as early as next week.
Are you stoked for some JJ?
Not really.
Really?
Not high on the JJ, man. Not high on the JJ train.
I like him. I like his matches.
He puts on good matches. I'm just not a big fan of his personality at all. I feel like he has very little of one.
See, I feel like that's put on, for the cameras.
It's possible. It's possible. But even back in NXT, he didn't have a whole lot of one. It was more just his wrestling, which is okay. I mean, it is wrestling after all, but promos are a big part of it, and he just seems really ingenuine when he cuts promos. I'm not a huge JJ fan, but if they bring him back and pair him up with Gable again, that might be cool.
It would be cool.
Another tag team going on. And then we also, this is just a small bit of news. Danny Burch, also known as Martin Stone on the Indies, was just signed to a full-time contract with NXT. I'm really excited for that dude. I actually just saw him on a local show about a month ago. He did a ladder match that pretty much stole the show there. And he won, too. It was kind of like their Money in the Bank, quote-unquote. It was an Opportunity Knocks match where basically they had a clipboard with a contract hanging above the ring.
Okay.
And he retrieved it, and he was the winner. But he had a return match with one of the guys a couple of weeks ago and lost it. Obviously.
Okay, I was going to say, how are they going to write that out of the story?
Exactly. Yeah, he had a return match a couple weeks ago, lost it to another one of the guys that was in the ladder match. So he is officially out, which makes me a little sad. He put on some awesome matches there, but it was cool seeing him in NXT this week too. Kind of come in at the end there, which we'll get into in a bit.
Hell yeah.
But he's a good dude. I like seeing him team up with Oni Lorcan. They put on some pretty badass matches. So
yeah, they need some more tag teams right now. I feel like they're a little bit thin in that area.
They're really lacking. Having Sanity and AOP moved up, there's not a lot of competition for the Undisputed Era right now.
Yeah, not a lot of competition that you take seriously for sure. So.
No. You got like the two sets of big dudes, all the heavies, and then you pretty much just have Oni and Danny at that point.
TM61, bro.
Yeah, TM61. Ooh. And the Street Profits. Oh, man. Real threats there. I'll get into that later when we get to NXT World. All right. Last thing we got on the dirt sheets this week, Ember Moon's boyfriend, who nobody knows, but now they do, Matthew Palmer, has a new T-shirt design that has a picture of him holding, I think an African-American lady. Looks like it. And the shirt says, King of the Black Women.
What?
Yeah, it's a thing. It is not a lie. It is a thing. He was wearing it in the ring at a local indie show. He is apparently the king of the black women.
So
I would like to know how Ember feels about this. Apparently she's cool with it. Maybe. I mean, if I'm a black woman, I'm like, you're like a white dude. I don't know that you could call yourself that.
I legit had to stop talking to you to look this shit up.
Yeah,
it is loading right now. And it says 404 not found.
It's crazy, man.
It didn't load.
It's maybe he pulled it. I don't think he did though. I mean this. I think.
Oh wow!
Did you find
that?
it?
That is.
Yeah.
That's like her too. That's not just anyone.
Oh no, it's 100% her. The only other person it could possibly be is Naomi, but no, it's definitely her. Scantily clad her.
Whew.
Yeah.
That is a bold choice for a shirt.
Indeed it is. I'm wondering how many he's going to sell. I have a feeling it's somewhere between 0 and 1 to himself.
And you're sure this is new?
It is new. It's new to me, at least, because it it just popped up on Instagram this week. And it's been circulating through the Twitterverse.
I don't know what to say. That is absurd. That is the most absurd thing I've ever seen, I think.
Yeah. It definitely gets in my top 10 of absurdities. Oof. I don't know that much else needs to be said. If you guys haven't seen it yet, look it up, and you can just sit and shake your head like we are, because that's all you can do.
No need for editorializing. It pretty much speaks for itself.
It does. I'm just gonna kind of leave that one there. I don't want to touch it further than that.
I get it.
Well, let's hop into Indie Land for a second. This past week, I think it was this past weekend, Pete Dunne and Marty Scurll had a match together for what I think is the first time ever. I don't think it's ever been done before.
Did you watch the match?
I did. Yes. Okay. I got to watch it in pieces on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, I watched it in pieces too, but I feel like part of mine was missing.
I think it was too. Well, it was a dude that filmed it in like 4 parts, but I think he missed some of the parts in between the videos, so he kind of had to stop a video and start it again, maybe. But I got to see, I would say probably 90% of the match on YouTube, and you guys can look it up on there. It's just Pete Dunne and Marty Scurll. I think it was a Destiny Wrestling production or promotion. Mm-hmm. Of course, it didn't have a clear-cut ending.
Yeah.
But there were some pretty funny spots in it. Mm-hmm. I think, especially Marty Scurll gets the baby powder thrown in his face and ends up crushing the ref, which was pretty funny. And he tries to pin him. The ref, that is.
Right.
So there was some pretty funny spots. But of course, it ends in a double DQ and both of them low-blowed each other. And then they both low-blowed the official.
Yeah, I guess this is how this has to end, unfortunately. But this was like a real dream match for me, and I felt like parts of it were really great, and then parts of it were like, time to laugh. But I feel like that's what you get with Marty Scurll, so I can't even bitch.
He's 50-50 now. It depends on how high profile the match is that he's in.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
If he's in a more high profile match for a title or something like that, he kind of leaves the comedy mostly out of it. And
he is a champion again.
Is he?
Yeah, he won the 6-man tag.
Oh, yes,
the
he
Neverweight tag with the Bucks, I think.
He did, and I think he has a title shot coming up as well very soon on the upcoming ROH tour. I think that starts next week. I think they're doing 4 days in a row. There's been some pretty awesome matches set up for that, so that'll be super interesting to watch. I'm psyched for that one. Moving on, so we reported last week that Being the Elite may have met its end, but apparently it has not.
Yeah. I feel like we both knew there was no chance of that happening.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we even said that last week. There's no way they're going to end something that's such a cash cow for them on YouTube. They get such huge plays on there. Not to mention it really helps further the whole story of what's going on behind the scenes with them. Since with ROH and with NJPW, they don't get a whole lot of storytelling time outside the ring. And I really feel like that it supplements the rest of that, and it's a perfect fit for their whole story that's going on right now. So it's a really funny video they just posted this week of them sitting around the table pitching what season 2 should be about. Mm-hmm. I don't want to ruin it, so just go and watch it. It's super hilarious. It's only like 2 minutes long.
It's totally worth the watch for sure.
Yeah, it is. I think Flip's putting the band back together.
Isn't the point of what we're doing here ruining things? I thought that was our job.
Fine, fuck it, ruin it then. Just ruin it.
I love that that Marty Scurll pretended to be American.
That was great.
And then he was like, "How about I stop?" That was funny.
The Cody spot where he said,
Cody was like, "I'm not.
Can I not be the bad guy this season?"
Right.
They're like, "Well, you're so good at the bad guy, so you're kind of stuck with it."
It was kind of a look behind the curtain, but like in a bizarre world kind of way. I really thought that was funny.
And I thought it was hilarious that Flip was actually in the room with them too, at the table. It was great. It It was super great. And finally, in our indie talk this week, Chris Jericho, the Jericholic.
He got paid, apparently.
He may be getting paid by NJPW.
Oh, yeah. He wouldn't be doing that shit if he weren't getting paid.
No, definitely not. Well, there's rumor going around that at the new big NJPW event that's happening at the Cow Palace, that Jericho may be the big guest they have coming in. Mm-hmm. And I find it interesting considering that he said that there hadn't been a whole lot going on with them. He hadn't really heard anything since he had that run-in with NATO at New Year's Dash in January. He said he hadn't heard back from them since then.
That was the most American pronunciation I've ever heard.
Yes, it was. I'm American,
NATO.
brother.
Let's call him NATO.
It's NATO, man. It's NATO, the North American Trade Agreement or Organization. NATO.
All right,
NATO?
continue.
NATO?
It is not.
I feel like if I say it more southern, it sounds better, right?
NATO. I had old NATO.
There's an A in there. Good old NATO. NATO. So anyways, yeah, Jericho might be coming back, and it's rumored that he'll be feuding with NATO.
Ooh, I like NATO better now.
I do.
We're going to need a NATO shirt.
I'm telling you. I need a NATO. NATO. Good old NATO. So, yeah, that could be happening very, very, very soon, which is a little bit exciting. I just like seeing Chris Jericho back in the wrestling world. I'm not a big fan of his band, The Foz.
I just feel like they're very plain. Like they're, I don't know. I don't hate them. I've heard some stuff, and they're fine. They lack an edge, I think.
They're not bad.
For a,
they do. They lack something
for
like
a rockin'
originality.
band. They lack a little bit of an edge.
Yeah, it's weird hearing Chris Jericho sing because I hear Chris Jericho's voice.
Yeah, see, I think he's an okay singer. I think there's a lot of
he's not
there's
bad.
a lot of processing.
He needs to just cut promos. That's all I want.
There you go. So thoughts on my championship win at the Greatest Royal Rumble?
I have zero thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to take it back at Backlash. That's this pay-per-view is meant for me. This is my backlash at you.
I guess we'll find out.
We're going to.
Do you feel like it was haunted in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, in more ways than one.
Because there were a lot of like people falling and tripping and slipping.
I don't think I've ever seen more botches at a big event.
I'm telling you, man.
Than at the Greatest Royal Rumble.
It was the ghosts.
And now we see WWE just burying a lot of them. But then you see them just playing the Titus O'Neil thing over and over and over again. I feel like that's going to be a thing now, that they're just gonna fucking bury it like 20 feet. It's going to be so buried.
Oh, see, I think that's the opposite of a burial. See, in my opinion, his career was already over. He may have actually saved it by doing such an absurd and ridiculous thing.
But people are going to get so annoyed with it because it was such a one-off type thing. It was like the diamond in the rough of that entire event.
Right.
The one takeaway from such a lackluster quote-unquote pay-per-view.
It was all the ghosts, man.
Was Titus falling and Jinder completely just moving away from the Whisper in the Wind from Jeff Hardy, to Hornswoggle never actually being eliminated, to Aiden English looking like he was actually dead and put into a coffin because he was too low when The Undertaker hit the tombstone. Mm-hmm. I mean, there were so many other things that were missed. Just, oh, man.
It's because the event was haunted, man. I'm telling you. So many ghosts were interfering.
There were Saudi Arabian ghosts.
Jeff Hardy missed the Whisper in the Wind, and then a ghost punched Jinder in the face and made him fall down, and then
he made him trip,
right,
literally onto his back. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. I don't really. Do you want to get into the Greatest Royal Rumble? I feel like
we've talked. Yeah, it's been talked to death at this point. I don't even care. Nothing happened of consequence.
No,
except I'll say this: the one thing I'll say is the Cedric and Kalisto match was a whole lot of fun.
It was. I did quite enjoy that.
And
I quite enjoyed the ladder match.
And the ladder match. And the Nakamura match.
I agree. It definitely, it was a lot better than the WrestleMania match. But other than that, I mean, the ending to the ladder match was probably the highlight for me, because I don't think I've ever seen it end like that, with two dudes like grabbing at the belt at the same time on the top rope and then Finn literally got smacked in the face with the belt and like split his eye open.
Can I say something that I feel like is actively going to upset listeners?
I feel like that is your job on this podcast, so yes.
I feel like that could have been smoother because I feel like, okay, so when he jumped, Finn stopped for a second. Actually, I'll go a step further and say, before he jumped, Finn was halfway up the ladder and stopped to allow time for Seth to hit the ropes and then hit the ladder and then run up. It just could have been smooth. I feel like Finn should have been flying up. You know, like it just didn't look real to me.
From a guy that's watched a lot of ladder matches, it's one of my favorite match gimmicks, I think, of all time. It happens so many times in those matches that I just kind of expect it now because unless you've really rehearsed it, I don't know that it's very easy to do any of that perfectly. There are so many times where guys are starting to climb up ladders and they just stop. And they'll like act like they're super hurt or super tired or whatever and can't make it up 3 more rungs of a ladder.
Just to allow time for the next spot to get set up.
Exactly. It happens so often that you just kind of get used to it and you know that's just part of what that match is going to be when it comes down to it.
All right, man. Well,
that's how I feel about it.
Fair enough. I just feel like the transitions, especially like, here's the thing. I get that there will be changes and transitions in a match that you'll have to call a spot, wait, and then allow for that spot to happen. But in the finish, I feel like everyone knows going in, for the most part, exactly what's going down. And so, if nothing else, the finish has to be cool.
It has to be executed perfectly.
Because that's the part that sticks.
I would say in about 60% of the time it's executed perfectly. But that's what's tough about ladder matches. In a lot of cases, it's not, because in most cases, ladder matches are more than just 2 dudes. So you're waiting for other guys to kind of get set up, and it just, executing it perfectly, you need to have 6 dudes, or this one was 4 dudes, put everything together in perfect timing and synchronicity so that they are able to hit these spots seamlessly from one to the next. And it never happens that way, especially when you're dealing with an inanimate object like a ladder. Mm-hmm. You never know what's going to happen, how it's going to move as well. So
I agree that it's tough, but I feel like to me it's part of the art. It's one of those things that I will always kind of groan when I see, just like, and I'm sure you've seen this a bunch of times too, when you're in a tag match and the other guy is supposed to run in and say, like, break up the pin, but they're just like a little bit late, and
the ref has to hold his hand halfway down,
and they kind of like lunge at the guy and barely touch them, and then
and suddenly they just roll off like they were just barreled over by a bulldozer.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I just wish that if you were gonna do that, just get in the ring 1 second sooner and then just run them over. Like, separate the pin. And then I will believe you. And
there's so many times too when that happens where the guy will come over and just barely nudge him, and it honestly, like, it could still be a 3 count because the guy that's being pinned still doesn't pull his shoulder up in time.
Exactly. I've straight up seen guys lunge because they were so late on the count that they literally smack them on the back and then the ref stops the count. It's like, are you kidding me?
Just because he was hit.
Like, he's
like, the guy's still laying on him.
He's still pinned, man. Like, that's like, if I ran in, say I'm teaming with Matt Hardy and he's getting pinned and I run into the ring and smack my opponent's ass, that didn't break up the pin. I just smacked the guy on the ass.
Unless his whole body moves off of the guy that he's pinning. I mean, it's still a legit pin when it comes down to it.
Yeah, man.
I don't get it. Again, we're marking out a little bit here, I think.
Oh, yeah, we're nerds, for sure.
Well, all right, we'll reel it back in here. Well, all right, let's dig into some Raw this week. Honestly, to preface all of this, I think Raw was the superior show this week.
I would agree with that, but I feel like it's just because there were so few matches on SmackDown.
That was the biggest problem. I mean, SmackDown had 3 matches and like 8 video promos, which is just asinine. But first, of course, we get Roman coming out first to bitch about the Brock Lesnar thing. And,
ooh.
Yeah, and Samoa Joe comes in, Jinder comes in, Sammy and Kevin come in to freaking ridiculous crowd response just because they were in their hometown. And then Lashley comes in, and then Braun comes in at the end, and blah, blah, blah. And it did set up a 6-man tag. We kind of all knew where they were going. But my biggest question about this entire thing, are they trying to use Braun to get Roman over now?
I think that could be happening, but I think what's more likely is that Braun is just the guy now. Because you can't do another effing match. That's insanity.
No. And I thought it was funny during their match, they kind of looked at each other and kind of nodded as if they, they still had a recollection of when Braun just body bagged Roman last year.
Isn't that funny how, just a few months later, they can be tag partners?
Exactly, and it works out just fine. I don't get that. But what it comes down to is hopefully they move forward with Braun at this point. They keep putting him in these 6-man tag things, and they put him in that tag match again at frickin' Backlash, and it's just let the dude have a singles run. Don't set him up in some tag team bullshit trying to put over Lashley, who obviously can't put over himself at this point, because I think he's nothing more than just a big guy that has a couple of big moves, and we haven't heard him really speak yet.
Yeah, I'd like to see him in a match. I'm going to withhold judgment on Lashley for right now because he hasn't really done anything. But the Braun thing, I feel like they're intentionally doing this to him because they want to kind of pull back the, no pun intended, the reins a little bit just so that when it's time to unleash the hounds. Oh, Jesus Christ, I keep making S.H.I.E.L.D. references.
Yeah, you do.
So when it's now, right? So when it's, I caught the first one and said no pun intended. So when it's time to unleash the monster, there's a clear path. I think that's what they want to avoid is just doing another, like Braun has to get through Roman in like a baby match. I don't think they want to do that.
Probably not. It's almost definitely they don't want to do that. It's one of their least favorite things to do.
Plus, then you have to you have to put Braun over strong, and you don't want to put Braun over strong against the guy that you want to look the strongest. So you need them to have separate paths, I think.
Maybe that's where they're going with them teaming up this week in what was basically a repeat of last week's match when it comes down to it. That there was the same. It was the same spots almost as last week as well. That 6-man tag match when they held it. I don't understand it.
Speaking of things that I don't understand, that you don't understand. Here's something I don't understand. What the hell happened with the Bobby Roode's trachea that he didn't even hit?
I know.
What? What? How is it?
Of all the body parts to sell.
Yeah, man.
And he definitely hit his sternum on the side turnbuckle.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't even close to his throat. And, I feel like that's not a thing that happens. So now all of a sudden you're breaking. I don't know, man. I didn't like it.
That whole match was just weird. The feud is weird. I don't know where they're going with that. I think it's just two guys they don't have anything to do with right now.
And they're both new, so they don't want to beat either of them.
Right. So they're just throwing them together and putting together some hokey finishes. And that's it.
Who do you think goes over in the end?
It's got to be Elias.
Okay.
It has to be. I feel like he's going to get a bigger push this year just based on how they're actually letting him kind of win now. Whereas at the beginning of the year, he was just getting his ass whooped by Braun constantly.
I have a feeling that every time he says WWE means walk with Elias, that Vince McMahon creams his pants.
I think he does.
I bet Vince loves that shit.
Oh, he does. That's the greatest thing, which is why he's going to keep doing it, and I think he's going to keep getting pushed, and I think they're working on building him right now to be a legit contender.
Good for him. I feel like, you know what? Maybe this is how it has to be. I like Bobby Roode, but I feel like if I've learned nothing else from him, he's not like top of the card material in my eyes yet. If he becomes it, great, but if this is what has to happen for Elias to get a little bit more over, then so be it.
I think that really is what has to happen at this point. I don't see a clear path for Bobby Roode anywhere right now. He's obviously not in any title contention at this point. Mm-hmm. You can't put him in that Intercontinental stable with what's going on right now, between Seth and Finn. And I mean, it's just, you can't throw him into that. He doesn't fit into that. Mm-hmm. I think he would slow down a lot of those matches and make for some very lackluster matches as well. He kind of fits in with Elias. I think Elias needs more in-ring work at this point because he hasn't had a lot of it. If we're being honest, he hasn't had a whole lot of TV time where it's not him playing a guitar or just getting his ass whooped for 10 minutes.
Right.
Getting pianos dropped on him and shit. So I think that's a big thing. Is they're putting him with Roode, who's kind of he's well tenured.
He's a veteran for sure.
Yeah, he's been in there for a while, so I think that's going to help build his in-ring acumen and build up his strongman powers.
I also think the best thing you can do with Roode long-term is have him lose this feud and then put him in a tag.
That'd be good, but who do you put him with?
Well, you go one of two ways. You put him with someone new who also works, so maybe you reunite Beer Money, or you put him with someone who's just a little bit more popular than him in hopes that he gets a little bit of a rub.
I mean, outside of the glorious thing he doesn't have much else. And I know we've said that in the past.
But he is a very competent worker, and
he's good. He's good in the ring. He's experienced. He has his spots that he's going to hit every single match. He reminds me of one of the older legend type wrestlers with the spots that he hits. He's consistent with them.
He's a ground worker, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I like a handful of stuff that he does I really like. I think he's a very good worker, and I feel like, you put him with someone who's young and on fire, maybe it could be something. I don't know who it would be. Maybe it's something we can talk about later, but I couldn't even think of a name other than reuniting. Maybe Austin Aries. Maybe what's Austin Aries doing? I'm sure
collecting belts on the indies.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd set them all on fire to get another shot in WWE.
Maybe, unless he's just pissed at them for letting them go.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Well, let's talk about AOP for a second. Not so much. Yeah, we do. Because I need to talk about this because I need to get this shit off my chest right now.
All right, man. Get it off.
All right, the whole reason these dudes had a manager in the first place is because they were shit on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, absolute shit. And this week, they further proved why they need a manager / mouthpiece. Mm-hmm. Because these dumb motherfuckers get up on the microphone. I don't even want to say up on the microphone, because half of what they were screaming wasn't even into the microphone. Couldn't understand a goddamn word that they said. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you could tell me one word that they said in that entire promo, I will relinquish the Botch Championship I'm about to win this week, because they didn't say anything coherent.
Well, here's the thing. You can't relinquish something that you don't currently possess.
When I possess it.
And when I look at my shoulder, I can see very clearly that I am currently in possession of the Botch Championship. So all that I thought during this match was that, A, I want a Jean-Paul and Francois win, and then I want a shirt.
Jean-Paul and Francois. Oh, man. It's like the Quebecers all over again.
Yeah, man. And why not?
If it ain't broke...
If you didn't think that Vince McMahon booked nationalities, look no further than Jean-Paul and Francois.
Oh, and on SmackDown, that the little dude that impersonated Daniel Bryan that we'll get into later was also French and from Canada as well. But, all right, couple of things here. Besides the horrible promo, first, who should be their manager going forward? Because I honestly, after seeing that, it's obvious that they need somebody to talk for them. Who do you put in there?
So you're saying in a world where I have to pick one? Because I don't think they're getting one.
I don't think they are either, but I feel like they should. If anybody needs one, it is them.
Hey, here's a bright idea. Put Ellering with them.
Weird. You'd think, they would have tried. Oh, they did. Yeah, they did. And then they just kicked him to the curb for some stupid-ass reason. It was most likely because he didn't want to travel, but he said he enjoyed the travel.
Yeah, au contraire. People were reporting it's because they didn't want him to travel, but then he tweeted that he loves the travel.
Unless it was all just a work, just to kind of build up that, the fact that they kicked him to the curb. It may not have been in truth.
Yeah,
he's an older guy. He's in his like mid 60s, I think.
Oh, bro, he's in his mid 70s.
Is he? Oh,
yeah,
dude,
he's an old man.
So I completely understand he doesn't want to do that touring schedule, which makes sense. But find somebody else, man. These dudes do not need a microphone in their hands. I feel like they need to work like the Bludgeon Brothers do, because they don't need to speak. They just come to the ring, they do their shit, and they leave. They're big guys. They're trying to build up. Why give them a microphone? Why even do it in the first place?
Absolutely. And this is something that I feel like the company has always missed, is that when guys are ass kickers, just let them kick ass. Nobody needs to see them talk. This is where they fucked up with Roman. Roman doesn't need to say a damn word. He just needs to go spear someone and punch them in the face. That's all anyone wants to see. Why couldn't he just do that?
The less he speaks, the better we feel.
The time that I remember Roman being most over post-Shield run was when he just beat the ever-loving shit out of Triple H outside the ring when he won the title. So, let that be him, and then all of a sudden, he's not getting booed anymore.
Magic.
Yeah, it's amazing when you let someone that kicks ass kick ass, what actually you achieve.
Wow. You're speaking crazy words, SBL. You're speaking crazy words.
It'll never work. Never mind.
No. Yeah, don't make sense. God.
Right?
All right, second thing I want to talk about.
Oh my God,
we could take some time
more?
with this.
Is there more?
Yes.
Oh
There's
my
more.
God. When I read this in the sheet, I was like, oh, clearly we'll never talk about this bit, so.
Fuck no, we're talking about it right now.
Man.
Because I think it's high time.
What the hell do I know?
It's high time that WWE give us a 1-2-3 kid pin again. It's been so long since it's happened, and I want to believe in jobbers again. I want that just little milliounce of belief that maybe a jobber can get just a lucky pin once in a while. It has not happened since the 1-2-3 kid, and I want it to happen now so badly.
Yeah, but okay. So here's the problem with what you just said. They let the 1-2-3 kid pin happen because they were planning on doing something with the 1-2-3 kid. So
right.
I feel like then you have to, then you're left with an Ellsworth on your hands where you have this guy who's getting over organically, maybe beats a guy, and then you're left having to build this character. I think they had planned to do that with 1-2-3 Kid, so it was fine, but you got to be really careful about who's getting the sneak pin. Or, I don't know, maybe it's got to be someone that you plan to have a storyline with, in my opinion. I
agree. But have like an NXT guy in your back pocket that doesn't get a whole lot of work, that's a smaller guy, that you throw in there and he just, nobody who really knows who he is. He doesn't do a lot of the TV shows and things like that. Bring him up, and he's going to be good. You have confidence in him that you can move forward with some sort of storyline with him and do it. Because, at that point, 1-2-3 Kid was a jobber. He had already taken 2 or 3 pins, and nobody knew who he was. No one gave a shit who he was.
He was brand new, though. He was very young in the business. At least in WWF.
You could still do that now. There's nothing keeping them from doing that now.
You know who I think they should do that with if they were to do it with anyone?
Who's that?
Would be Gargano. That would be the guy who you bring up. He loses maybe his first 5 matches, right? And everyone's like, oh, too small. Couldn't cut it on the main roster. It's a shame. He would have been a real big star if only he had some more height. And then all of a sudden, you put him in the ring with, I don't know, maybe not Braun, but who's the...
Lashley.
I'm thinking heel. Who's the biggest heel?
The biggest heel? It depends on what brand you're putting him on, because you got Cass on one side,
or Samoa Joe,
Baron Corbin.
Okay, there you go. So
I think Baron level baldness is kind of believable though, because that dude takes pins like I take a cup of coffee in the morning. So,
there's a part of me that was hoping you would say takes pins like I take dicks. I was like, whoa, bud, that's a little personal.
I had to stop myself for a second.
Anyway.
And really think it through. But
suddenly this has become
it's taking a turn for the worse.
A different kind of show. So, anyway,
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm married with a wife.
That doesn't mean anything.
Whatever. Moving on.
So anyway, I feel like Corbin would be great because he sucks and you don't want to do anything with him. But I see that's my opinion. Whereas you read all these reports that says fucking Vince loves him, loves his attitude, jerks off to him, on him, around him, and it's real disheartening, frankly.
And that bald asshole posts on Twitter this afternoon. So can all your Twitter comments buy you one of these? And he had a picture of a Ferrari that he had just bought. Total douche move. I hate that guy even more now. Because I honestly 100% feel like he is like that in real life. He just seems like the type of dude that is.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So his in-ring persona is, it just mirrors his real life persona. Is just a 100% asshole.
He seems like a guy that see, I don't know if I can say this. Okay, so I'm joking right now.
Are you?
This is satire.
Okay.
He seems like the kind of guy who carries a bottle of roofies in his back pocket.
I feel like he's the type of guy that would need to.
Oh, burn. Burn. That was even deeper cuts than mine. All right.
Yep, that's where we're going today. All right, before we get ourselves into more trouble,
yeah.
my next question for you now.
Enjoy your Ferrari, you bald fuck.
Yeah, you son of a bitch. Baron level bald ass. All right. Next we had Seth Rollins promo, and at the end, Balor attacks Seth Rollins. Is it signaling Balor kind of slowly turning heel at this point?
I think this was the Stone Cold move where, he's on his own. Like, he's a baby face, but after he stuns both the bad guys, he's going to stun the good guy and the ref too.
Just because he has an open opportunity to do so.
Yeah, just because never trust a rattlesnake, motherfucker, because I'm a badass. Right.
Never trust a demon, bitch.
Right.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the demon gimmick to come back. I feel like it's going to be coming soon. I feel like some of this might be working up towards that, like in that direction. Mm-hmm. Seeing him be a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Brutal in the ring. See him pull more things like that. They're toeing the line of heelish. But yeah, I feel like that's what he's trying to look stronger in the ring. And the match he had later in the night was ridiculous. I mean, it was up there as far as Raw matches go. So many things happening rapid fire. I'm looking at the end of Raw. I'm always looking at the clock because it's going to end at like 11:07 on the nose, always. Mm-hmm. And then it gets to like 11:08, 11:09. I'm like, damn, they're still going. Like this is still happening. And I mean, it's like spot after spot after spot. It was nonstop.
Yeah, towards the end of that match, it was getting absolutely ridiculous.
I was literally and figuratively on the edge of my seat just to see what happened. I mean, I felt like it was possible at that point for Balor to win.
Yeah, and that's how it should. That's the mark of a great match. Even when you know a guy is going to lose, you're still popping. You're still getting out of your seat. You're still there for every near fall.
I think I audibly said, "Oh damn," like 4 or 5 times in the last 3 minutes of that match. Mm-hmm. Just some of the spots were insane. I mean, it's definitely up there as to one of the best Raw matches I've ever seen.
Speaking of kind of badasses, I don't know about you, but I'm really getting warmed up to the Ruby Riott deal.
Man, I'll tell you what, she made Sasha look like shit. Mm-hmm. And she looked real good this week. That cannonball shoot off the top rope was, whoo! I wouldn't want to take that.
Cool. Yeah,
that is all of your weight. Because there's no way that you can cushion that bitch. Oh, man. She was in cannonball stance and just hopped up and fell back, man. Yeah. It was cool as hell. I honestly, do you feel like she's going to get a title shot this year? Within the year? Do you think she'll have a title shot?
That's a good question because I feel like the women are that's the one thing they're building to, right? Is because you want your next WrestleMania to be Ronda and someone.
You're right.
But I feel like we're literally a year away from that. So there's room for Ruby. I feel like I'll tell you what, there's room in my heart for Ruby. So
I think she's great, she's had really good matches lately. The
thought
fact that she got the pin here too was pretty huge.
Yeah, and I thought she was boring Borsville on NXT, but that's just living proof that maybe some people translate better to main because, oh man, I had an awesome time watching that match. I was all about her gimmick, you know what punk chicks do to me. And just
they do things.
They do all the things. And then
Yeah.
and man, it was just a great time. I really truly became a fan in one match.
Yeah, she was great. I'm hoping to see more of that from her. I'm sure we will.
Watch her suck next week, and then
I know it's going to be
eat
horrible.
my
You're going
words.
to eat all of them.
Right.
You're going to have to choke them down. So after that, we got the Moment of Bliss this week. I'll tell you what, I wasn't sold on the Moment of Bliss last week, but this week's was super funny.
Yeah, I thought this killed it for me again this week because I loved it last week too.
Last week wasn't as funny as this week was. The teacup thing,
Yeah.
I audibly laughed.
Yeah, it was great.
I mean, it's a cup. It was It was good. I kind of hope they keep doing them. I'm sure they will.
Oh my God, they'll absolutely keep doing that shit.
They're going to run it into the ground. But listen, if the writing continues to be that good on it, I'm fine. Keep doing them.
Shocking when the writing is good a little bit.
Yeah, it was weird. It felt weird coming out of my mouth when I said it. So next we get the promo we're all waiting for post Greatest Royal Rumble with Titus. And who interrupts? But the one dumbass you would not want to interrupt.
Because he's not funny at all.
No, he's horrible. Baron level baldness has to hop in, put his 2 cents in to set up a. Oh God, I guess he's setting up a feud with him. I don't know. He just feel like he drifts around and just ruins things.
He's like
and not in a good way.
He's like the football jock in high school that like you could outwit so easily that it's like almost embarrassing. Like he tries to make fun of you, but then you say something hilarious and everyone kind of chuckles under their breath and he's like, whatever, fuck you.
And that's his comeback. Whatever, fuck you, every time.
And that's what he has. Like that's all he's got. And a Ferrari, of course.
God, I hope something happens to him and he just
oh my
goes
God.
away.
Let's not go that
Not
far.
in a bad way. I don't want him to get like a life-threatening injury or anything like that. I hope he just. I don't want to say anything that I'll regret later. I'm gonna walk away from it.
You know what, Baron? We wish you the best. We're just not fans of you.
No, not in the slightest. We already talked a bit about the friggin' 6-man tag match. I'm happy they put this in the middle and not as the main event.
I would have been bummed out if this were the main event because it seemed when they announced it, I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll be tuning out 20 minutes early this week.
Exactly. Well, I still wanted to tune in to see what would happen. You know, with KO and Sammy being so over, being in their hometown, I'm like, you know what? Maybe they'll be a feel good.
No.
You know, they get a pin in their hometown. You know, KO might pin Lashley or something. But in the end, of course, KO takes the pin because Sammy did it last week. I think they're just switching off. Man, I hate what they're doing with those guys right now. I really hate it.
Yeah, it's a real downer, man. But I mean, somebody's got to put the big baby faces over, so at least they're in the semi-main event program, I guess.
Yeah, but not in a good way.
No, not in a good way at all. But then, you know, who are you going to have beat Braun? Like, KO's not going to beat Braun as much as it sucks.
No one's going to beat Braun at this point.
Right.
I mean, he's definitely on a path to the Universal Championship to, you know, whomever has it at that point. But I don't know. Moving on. Do we have to talk about Baron again?
Nope. Let's just skip it.
Skipping it. Baron, No Way Jose.
He lost, so that's good.
He lost, so that was, it was great.
Right.
Titus came out and fell again off the apron, which was totally planned. And like I said, they're gonna beat a dead horse until it's super dead with that.
I'm okay with it because Titus makes me laugh with his klutziness and stupidity. See, okay, so you know how Baron is the kind of guy who'd just be like, fuck you. Titus is the guy that would hear something witty and just kind of laugh and bro it out with you and like be like, huh, man, that was pretty good. I don't have a comeback, but that was pretty great, man. And then you just go have beers with him.
I can agree with that. He seems like a chill dude.
Yeah. Like, I'd hang with Titus.
I can't disagree with that.
I once considered him for the Woo 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 crew, actually, believe it or not.
Really?
Deep cuts, yep.
Wow.
Yep.
He's like an outside member who just works the indies but still wears the gear.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. I'll sign off on that.
All right. Next, we get Mickie James against Natalya. I ultimately think this whole thing is just playing up to Mickie James against Ronda Rousey, which will be coming soon, I imagine.
Yeah.
I find it really odd that Ronda hasn't really done much since WrestleMania. She's just doing like this come out for a minute spot, and I know they're trying to save her and kind of keep her as like an attraction.
There you
which
go.
Is
Those
fine.
were the exact words I was going to say. My understanding is that Vince McMahon feels very strongly that he wants her to be the Brock Lesnar of the females, like just only special attractions, only big matches.
But she's still there every week. She's still showing up,
right?
Which says something. But I think they're using that to keep her as a babyface and not loop her in and kind of have the fans see her as a Brock Lesnar type that only shows up part-time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it'll be interesting to see where they go with her next. I think it's the Mickie James feud is definitely coming, and I think it's going to be a good one too because Mickie James makes everybody look good.
Agree.
We get a McIntyre Ziggler promo. I mean,
woo,
is
woo,
what it
woo,
is.
Crew.
And we talked about the Finn and Rollins, which closed it out. Seth got the pin on that one, which we knew it was going to happen, but still, it was good. It was a good one. So let's talk a little SmackDown Live, which should be the A show, but still remains the B show because the writing is horrible.
Yeah.
First off, Miz TV, I always get excited when I hear Miz TV. Do you feel that way?
I like Miz TV, but I did not like this one, so whatever.
It was because Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, I just feel like the segment didn't work, but yeah, I don't know.
Because Jeff Hardy.
Sure.
The dude really, he's one of those guys that shouldn't be on a microphone.
I'm not going to commit to that, but okay. I see what you're saying.
He's never been good on the mic. Matt Hardy's always been the one that did a lot of the talking.
I'm not committing to that.
Why are you not committing to that?
Because I feel like Jeff was a big star at a time.
He was a big star, but he didn't cut a whole lot of promos. Think back.
I can't. Honestly.
Back in the memories, dig into the memory bank. When you think of Jeff Hardy, do you think of the amazing promos he cuts?
No, I think certainly. I feel like everyone, when you think of either Hardy, you think amazing matches.
Right.
But
and that's what he's good at.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Okay. Well, of course,
just not committing.
Okay, fine. Be non-committal. Just sit on the fence.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna sit right here on this fence.
Yeah, I hope it gets all the way up your ass too.
Ha.
So that set up an Orton Hardy, Shelton Benjamin Miz match, and Hardy got a pin, and then Orton RKO'd him, and all of this was super predictable.
Yeah, I didn't care. I'm gonna say this again. I like that they're using Benjamin, but nothing that happened was really interesting to me in this match.
No, and the fact that he even came out and said that he deserved a title shot, after losing the past 2 weeks, it's stupid and just lazy writing. It's lazy.
Yeah, it's just part of that whole... We talked about this last week, where people that clearly don't deserve title shots seem to think they should get title shots. I just don't get it.
Nope, not at all. All right, and then we get into promo extravaganza is what I'm going to call it, because that's all it was. Promo. We got Iconics and Carmella promo, New Day in the Bar promo, but Mr. Bootyworth though,
which was the best one. I feel like that was the best one, and then I don't care if we talk about any of the rest of these.
Well, I do want to talk about the Rusev Lana thing for a second. We're going to touch on it because it's kind of a hot button issue at this point. People are getting a little pissed because they are alluding to a Rusev Day breakup where Rusev is going to leave Aiden in the dust, which it's a little sad because I don't think that dude has anywhere else to go at this point.
Yeah, I think he kind of got himself over with the singing thing a little bit, and I think that give him maybe you give him a chance and he ends up bigger than Rusev Day. But I agree. This is it's probably not going to end well for Aiden, and I feel like, I mean, I get it. You throw Alana in front of my face, I'm probably going to take that over Aiden,
Exactly. I think this is going to be kind of the final nail in the coffin, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? So we're gonna skip all 900 other promos here. We had a Big Cass promo with the little person coming out to fight him. That was so stupid.
I'm just gonna let you talk through all these because I have nothing to say.
Yeah, AJ promo. I mean, you knew it was gonna happen there. Mm-hmm. Becky, Asuka, Charlotte promo. Why is Asuka always yelling?
I don't know, man.
She yells a lot. Is it?
Yeah.
Can it not be?
She always just sounds exasperated.
I know. It's like, bro, I understand you don't know the English language well, but you don't have to scream it at us.
Yeah.
I know you don't speak like that when you speak Japanese.
It's like she ran a mile and a half to tell us something. Like she's like out of breath and yelling.
She's like, Asuka!
Very urgent.
The Empress of Tomorrow! She just screams it. I can't do it justice.
You guys, I gotta tell you something. It just happened down the street. Just give me a second to catch my breath.
Like,
Hold on.
All right, man. Cool. We get it.
Yeah. She toned it down a little bit towards the end when she saw I'm dying. Remind me not to do the Asuka voice anymore.
Yeah, right. I was like, is this part of the shtick or?
Whew. It's gonna be now. It's gonna be now. When she saw Becky and Charlotte talking like normal people, she toned it down a bit. I noticed, but
like, oh wait, everyone else in the room is not screaming.
No, like that's that's
indoor
the volume
voices.
We're going for.
Indoor voices.
I get it now. I'm not in the ring yelling into a microphone. Gotcha. Then we
need a T-shirt with an Asuka mask that just says indoor voices.
Indoor voice, please. Inside voice, Asuka. Inside voice. We finally get our second match of the night.
Yeah, right? Isn't that insane?
This is literally in hour 2. We get the second match in a fucking wrestling show. Mm-hmm. This show is WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, not World Talking like it's a sitcom. Why?
At least
Why do we wait this long?
At least we got a beautiful Xavier win.
We did, and that's obviously going to set up a feud with New Day and The Bar, which will be a good one.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. I liked all of those guys, and I think they'll put on some good matches. So probably not as good as the New Day and
the Usos.
But yeah.
We'll see. Might be great.
Yeah. It'll be good. So then we get an Absolution backstage promo, and Paige hops in there, and they set up a Mandy versus Becky Lynch next week. I'm sure Becky Lynch will lose because that's what she does now, apparently. But apparently Absolution is dead. Do you think the Absolution is actually dead? You don't give a shit.
I think that I could find no use for. Is it Sarah or Sonya? Which one is in Absolution?
Sonya
Deville. I have no thought about one way or the other. Same with Sarah Logan, mind you. I think they're both good workers, but I don't see any of them. Well, I don't see either of them developing right now. Now, don't get me wrong. You put them in a grade A storyline next week, I could completely change my opinion. But as it stands right now, and I actually thought this in NXT too, when everyone was saying, why are they giving Mandy TV time? She barely knows what she's doing. I thought she could work in NXT. I saw her matches. She played her part well, and I think she's going to be, if there's a breakout of Absolution, it's going to be Mandy.
I would agree with that. She's got the look, and she does well in the ring.
See, that's the thing, and everyone says it's because she's so ridiculously hot. First off, like, whatever. Like, I feel like I'm the most asexual wrestling watcher in the world.
Can I put that on a shirt?
I'm putting it on my Bot Championship title. One of the plays.
I'm an asexual wrestling watcher.
What's the asexual enigma? What is we need a name for me. But yeah, like I'm not one of these bros on the internet that like, sees like an Ember Moon or a Sasha Banks and they're like, "Oh, yeah, great match or whatever, but she's so hot. I can't stop looking and talking and I hope I can find some creepy pictures of her on the internet." Like, I'm not one of those guys. I just like wrestling. You know what I mean?
I'm the same way. I don't really see them as, oh, she's the super hottest one. I like seeing her, blah, blah, blah. I mean, truth be told, Alexa's probably one of my least favorite wrestlers out of all of them. And everyone just, like, does backflips and pisses themselves over seeing her.
Yeah, and the same with Mandy Rose. So many people are like, "Oh, she can't work. The only reason she has this job is because she's super hot." And I'm like, dude, I could give a fuck how hot she is, and I love her work. So I don't know what they're seeing and versus what I'm seeing, but I really enjoy it. So
I love her work a lot more than Carmella's in the ring.
I feel like Carmella serves her purpose as a character, but in the ring, you're right. I'd go Mandy Rose all day.
She does. So I personally, I think Absolution's probably dead. I mean, the fact that they still come out to Paige's music is a little bit weird.
That's weird for sure. They need their own identities for sure.
And I think that's what they're going to move forward with too. And I think Paige, I don't think she's going to turn heel. And let me tell you why. Paige has that movie that's coming out later this year. That Fighting With My Family movie that all those promos aired like every 5 minutes during WrestleMania.
That was a funny scene the first time I saw it, but then the next 30, I was like, all right, we're done with this.
And you know how long it is, so you're like, oh, God, I got to sit through this shit again. Like, the movie's not even going to be funny now. It might even be the same, when we watch it eventually, if it shows up on the network or wherever else, I'll probably fast forward through that because I've seen it so many fucking times, I must have it memorized at this point. But apparently that movie got pushed back to, like, September now.
Fine.
But the whole reason, and I heard this week, the whole reason they kept Paige and put her in that general manager position was because of that movie. Because they felt like if she was out of the public eye and no longer on TV on a week-to-week basis, people would just forget about her. They wouldn't go see the movie because the movie is based on her life.
Yeah, it's tough to have a film that you've paid some money to produce at least, where the end result is, isn't it great that I found my dream of becoming a wrestler for someone that is now retired at like 26 or whatever.
Yeah, it's sad, but at the same time,
that's a hard sell.
Maybe that's the end of the movie. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they should put that in the movie and be like, "Oh, just kidding. Life is actually garbage."
Yeah, honestly, you think maybe that's why they pushed the movie back. They might be recutting a scene that's like, "Yeah, I had to retire. Sucks ass."
Yeah, it sure
does.
What
can you do? So I think the Absolution angle's dead. I would think as soon as maybe next week we see Mandy Rose come out to some different music. She may bring back her music from NXT.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, it'd be good. She needs to kind of get separated from Sonya Deville. I never understood that pairing in the first place.
Yeah, I agree. I don't get... See, and we've talked about this before. I feel like they just tried to make... Like, they had Paige, let's put her with people. Okay, well... We need one of this on SmackDown, so let's. Oh, Ruby Riott is Paige Light, so let's put her. You know what I mean? Right. I feel like they tried to make two identical teams, and Sonya and Sarah got called up simply because they were both similar, and they could get both. You know what I'd like is to see them actually feud, and then whatever.
It's like the lesser knowns of Absolution and the Riot Squad go at it. Right. And the battle of who gives a shit.
Oh, see, I feel like Liv Morgan is the lesser known in the Riot Squad for me. Like I'd much rather see Sarah Logan. It's like reversed. So I think the blonde, quote unquote, pretty one is the better one in Absolution, whereas I feel like the brunette ass kicker is the better one in Riot Squad.
You're right. Definitely. I hate seeing Liv Morgan in the ring. She's a screamer.
Ooh. Yeah, I know you hate the screamers.
Oh, God, I can't stand it. Whew, man. The main event this week. First, quick, I guess, hit on Almas. Another outside promo with Zelina Vega. Coming soon. They're just, man,
It's coming, man. It's
I want to see Almas, man. I want to see Almas. I want to see Sanity. Those dudes are probably just sitting on their asses right now doing nothing. Mm-hmm. Because they did a little bit of the NXT tour, but I think they're off of that now. So they're literally just twiddling their thumbs. I think, honestly, after Backlash, I think is really when the reset button's going to hit.
Yeah, probably. You're probably right.
Things are going to start rolling. Because they had to get through these 2 dumbass pay-per-views that they scheduled so close together that they didn't really have enough time to build any other storyline besides
and they got to
those.
start. Yeah, and they got to start the build for SummerSlam too.
Exactly. Money in the Bank, actually, in a month.
Oh shit, man! Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah, they got a month to build that. I'm really interested. I'm excited to do an episode on that because I think we should do a prediction episode before the card is actually set for that as to who we think should be a part of it. Because and also we don't know what direction they're going to go with Money in the Bank. It could go any way. There could be a specific SmackDown one and a specific Raw one, or they could just do, 3 or 4 dudes from each brand in one Money in the Bank match.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be.
That might be, and then same for the women's side as well. 3 or 4 from each brand in the Money in the Bank. It'll be interesting to see if they do the 6-man or the 8-man this year as well, because they've kind of mixed it up back and forth.
A lot of questions.
So many questions, and we'll do an episode on Money in the Bank.
We will give you the answers and probably be wrong, honestly, but whatever.
You're damn right, because nobody can be right all the time,
except for me,
even
the
you,
bot
SBL.
champion.
We'll find out after the Sunday at Backlash.
All right.
Finally, last match of the night, we got the Asuka Charlotte Becky or Asuka Becky Charlotte, the ABCs versus the Iconics and Carmella.
Iconics.
Sorry, the Iconics.
The 2 Conics.
The 2 Conics. 2 Conics. I like that better.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. The 2 Conics. What is a conic?
I don't know.
Let me find that out. And, God, the match was so boring. This was the worst main event.
It was just okay. Yeah.
It had no redeeming qualities.
Well, you hate Carmella, so I can...
She screamed. She screamed throughout half of the fucking match.
Yeah.
Every time she get in the ring, she would just scream, audibly scream for no reason whatsoever. Charlotte comes at her, she screams and rolls out of the ring. What is she, a fucking 4-year-old that's in a haunted house?
She's showing some emotion there, Brain.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
She's emotionally a 4-year-old. Is that what you're telling me?
In a haunted house. No, dude. It was the greatest Royal Rumble that was haunted, and Carmella wasn't allowed to go there.
She probably would have screamed constantly throughout that as well and ruined something else for me.
I mean, I couldn't have blamed her because it was so haunted.
Oh, whatever. She looks bad in the ring.
I
don't know.
I want a haunted Rumble shirt too.
The haunted Rumble. Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Get on making that one. So,
just Jinder laying down.
Yeah.
with ghosts all around him.
I wish t-shirts could have movement.
Oh, we'll need to. What's that? There's like a. Oh God, we're gonna spend 20 minutes of me just thinking about what it is. So never mind. But aren't there t-shirts that do like a kind of like depending
like
on
a
where
hologram?
Yes, that's the word. Thank you. Depending on where you look at it. Jesus, why couldn't I do that? Why couldn't my brain think the words?
It's
the wordy
okay.
thoughts.
It's not a word in our everyday vocabulary. It's okay.
That's fair enough.
So yeah, Carmella looks terrible in the ring. I don't know how she and Charlotte are gonna have even like a half a star match at Backlash. It's gonna be a nightmare. It's gonna be a nightmare for Charlotte. I feel like.
We should have done a tiebreaker on what Meltzer rated it.
Yeah, but then we'd have to wait like 2 weeks. That's too much work.
What Wrestling Jesus decided the Carmella match was worth.
Wrestling
in
Jesus.
In stars, of course.
Oh man, well that was it for SmackDown, if you can believe that. 2 hours of literal promos and 3 lackluster matches.
Lackluster? I don't know, man. I liked 2 of the matches.
Which 2?
The Xavier one, and then what was the first one?
Did you like the Orton and Hardy? See, that's how much you cared about it.
Okay, I liked
my point. Thank you.
Yeah, I fucked myself there. I liked one of the matches.
Yeah, I liked one of them as well.
Okay.
That was it. Of the 3 whole matches we got on a wrestling show.
Mm-hmm.
God, it just pisses me off that they do that.
Hey, at least 205 Live was packed with talent
it was packed with talent. First match we had Tozawa and Itami versus the Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher. I guess at the end of this match, Gallagher gets the pin. I really don't like Jack Gallagher. I've always hated that gimmick.
I've actually always liked it. So
have you?
Yep, since day one.
Why? What does it for you with that stupid gimmick?
I think it's the quirkiness that just makes me chuckle. Like, I'm not saying, well, I don't know that he's a good wrestler. I don't know if he's a good or bad wrestler. He just makes me giggle a little bit.
He's an okay wrestler. He's not terrible. He's very technical.
He was
has
a
lot of decent
legit,
spots.
like a serious legit MMA guy too.
Was he?
Oh, big, yeah. I think he was undefeated.
You can't tell because he carries himself like a giant just pussy in the ring.
Yeah,
just like the stupid things he does. I know it's part of the gimmick. It's part of the gimmick. Whatever. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It reminds me of the Vaudevillains.
I once almost bought a Jack Gallagher shirt. I'll have you know.
I would make fun of you so hard.
Ooh, not words. Anything but words.
Oh, you get all the words.
Okay.
So many words. But at the end of this, Itami turns on Tozawa and pushes him down. So it looks like they're finally going to separate that tag team.
Perfect.
You're okay with that?
I want Itami to be the champion, and I love Itami.
Really?
I do. It's actually funny that we were talking about before how NXT guys have to work with, like the seasoned veterans have to work with the rookies. And I honestly feel like Itami would be a star right now if he weren't injured twice by rookies. So,
I mean, that says something right there.
Yeah, it set him back like a year and a half or 2 years. He couldn't wrestle because one of the younger guys kept hurting him on a live event or something. I don't remember the details. I'm not going to pretend that I do. I know one of them was that fucking who's the football Sabatelli or his.
I
tag
hate
partner.
that guy.
Yeah, it was It was either
so
him or his tag partner. But
Roderick Moss.
Yeah, I can't remember. Riddick Moss.
Riddick Moss.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. It was one of those guys that hurt him the second time, and I can't remember who hurt him the first time. But yeah, I just feel like Itami would be a pretty big star right now if it weren't for
those assholes.
Yeah, a bunch of dicks hurting him. But yeah, I would love to see him be a heel champion using the GTS, because when people chant CM Punk at him, he can be like, "Oh, that bitch stole the move off me, motherfucker." And then, like, that's such a heelish thing to do too. Like, "Oh, I'm gonna use one of your favorite wrestlers' finishers, but guess what? I invented it, so go suck a dick, losers." Right.
It's mine, bastards. I think it's going to set up a good feud with them. I like Tozawa, other than the stupid ha thing he does every 9 seconds. Mm-hmm. But he's great in the ring. He's fun to watch. So it'll be a good feud. I'll be interested to see who they put over at this point, who they're believing in a little bit more.
You don't think it would be Itami?
No, I don't.
Huh.
If you look at most of their matches lately, most of their tag matches they've had, it's usually Tozawa that's getting the pin.
Yeah, but who would you put the belt on if you could put it on one of them?
On one of those two?
Like, who's beating Cedric for it?
Out of those, I don't see either one of them beating Cedric right now. But if I had, are you saying I have to choose?
You have to choose.
Itami's more believable.
Okay.
Than Tozawa is.
Booyah.
But Tozawa puts on better matches than Itami right now.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
Nope, not kidding you. Look at all the recent matches they've had with the Lucha asshole party.
Yep.
Look at
but
all.
I feel like they've both done well in those matches.
They've both done well, but I feel like Tozawa just
was the standout.
He's put on better matches every week for me. He stands out over Itami for me. For me.
All right, man.
You know, he's one of those like smaller, scrappy dudes that has a lot of really good spots, and I mean he's a little more over with the crowd because of the stupid hot thing he does so often. They feel like they have to chance along with him. He's a face
for sure, but I feel like Itami is the evil son of a bitch that takes.
He looks
belt.
like an evil son of the bitch.
Yeah, good.
That's what you want.
Hope he GTS's the shit out of your shitty Cedric champion.
Oh, don't you dare.
That's right.
Don't you dare
Take
speak
that.
ill of Cedric Alexander.
Take that.
No, I refuse to take it. I'll pretend like you didn't say shit and that you love Cedric Alexander and he deserves to be the champion.
I actually don't dislike him, so I don't know why I'm talking shit. I just love Hideo Itami, and I feel like he gets a bad rap.
He may. We're gonna see what he can do on his own because it looks like he's heading in that direction. So I may change my tune. I may be singing a different tune soon.
All right.
We get a Gulak backstage promo, which I always love. Mm-hmm. I will never be upset about a Gulak backstage promo. No PowerPoints involved. It was a little sad. It's all right, though. He was wearing a sweet-ass shirt. Did you see the shirt he was wearing?
I can't
Gulak
remember
for a
what
better
it said.
205 Live. Gulak for a better 205 Live. I want it really bad. He has one on his Pro Wrestling Tees page, but it says Gulak, and it has some other weird tagline underneath, and I didn't like it as much. It was super weird. It was one of his older gimmicks, I think.
Okay.
So you better believe that Gulak shirt goes up on WWE Shop. I will own it.
I'm sure that you will, because you love you some Gulak.
I do. He was awesome. We'll get to his match in a second. So next we got Buddy Murphy versus some jobber. Didn't even care to put the jobber's name. Didn't matter. Referee had to stop the match, which I've never seen, other than... Actually, that happened twice this week. The freaking Bobby Roode match, too. They stopped the match.
And Brock Lesnar did it to Randy Orton.
Not this week.
Well, yeah, but I mean when they had their pay-per-view match.
Right, that's happened in the past, but this is twice in a week that ending happened. An ending that doesn't happen very often, but he stopped the match because the jobber could not continue.
Boo-hoo.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Jobber. And then Cedric comes out to attack Buddy Murphy, and that lasts like half a second. Mm-hmm. And they cut away, which was, I don't know, it didn't make any sense to me, but yeah, I'm excited for that match when it happens. I'm wondering where they're going to go and when that's going to land.
When the Buddy Murphy title shot happens?
Yep. Because they're trying to hold off on it as long as they can, it seems like. It's not going to happen on a 205 Live episode.
Well, here's the fear, right? Because you're building Buddy Murphy to be this ass kicker, so you kind of have booked yourself into a corner if you don't plan to put the strap on him, right? I mean, you're kind of in a tough spot because of reasons. You are. Because I believe, and it pains me to say this, when Buddy Murphy gets his title shot, he's going to win. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, too. And at the same time, like, I want Cedric to hold the belt for longer than just 2 or 3 months. Mm-hmm. You know, I'd like to see him have it, because he waited so long to get it. Yeah, I agree. I mean, just when he was in, he was in the cross, had Enzo Ahore in the crosshairs. Yeah. The dude, whatever happened with him, whatever, he's gone. Cruiserweight title was just up in the air, and he had to go through that whole tournament thing. Ultimately, I knew he was going to win it. Even at the beginning, I'm like, they have to give it to him. The dude deserves it at this point. Yeah. Wow. But now, with this Buddy Murphy thing going on, I mean, what they really need to do, and I think they probably will in the coming weeks, because I feel like this Buddy Murphy-Cedric match is probably going to happen at Money in the Bank, so we've got about a month to build. Mm-hmm. Buddy Murphy needs to get in there with the bigger guys now, the ones that actually matter, not some random jobber, and see what happens. Okay. Which, I mean, I'm sure he's going to go over, but... Anyways, that's enough Buddy Murphy. Do you want him to go over Drew Gulak, though? No. See, that's the problem. So that would be a heel match, but you know what I mean? Like, he's gonna have to be like Ali and Tozawa. And I feel like next week we get him versus Ali. Right. So I feel like it's gonna have to. That's gonna be really interesting to see what happens. Buddy Murphy's. No, they're not gonna get a finish. You don't think? Now. Nope. See, I feel Cedric's gonna come out. Oh, see, I feel like this is where you double down on Buddy Murphy. You have him beat Ali, and then you push Ali down. See, this is how you book if you want people to care and be invested, which is how Triple H books. He gives you the win when the person needs to be elevated, versus the shit that we see every week on Raw, where nobody really ever gets elevated because nobody ever commits. Exactly. I feel like from the beginning, Triple H said, like, this is my guy. I'm putting him, he's getting from A to Z, and nothing, and I'm going to have real contenders lose to him to get him there.
And he's moving his chess pieces very strategically.
Exactly.
I mean, with this, if Buddy Murphy goes over on this in the match next week, he's obviously number one contender at that point, because you look, Mustafa Ali was the first one to get a title shot against, or he and Cedric were the first ones to, they won the tournament.
Right. They were the top dogs, the numbers 1 and 2.
Also, if my memory serves correctly, Buddy Murphy lost to Mustafa Ali in the tournament.
Yeah, he did.
So this is kind of that return match. So if Buddy Murphy gets over that hump, which most likely he will, then that'll put him kind of right in where he needs to be. So it makes sense that he wins. It's sad to see Mustafa Ali just get buried again.
Well, not buried. Just push down the card a little bit.
He's going to get pushed down the card. We don't see him as much now. I mean, he wasn't on at all this week, and I don't think he was on at all last week either. So, anyways, we get to our main event.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep interrupting you, but I just feel like this is great, though, because this is how these guys stay fresh. We don't see them every week.
It is.
They have matches that matter, and it works.
But here's, on the flip side of that, we see Kalisto every fucking week. We see Lucha House Party every week. We're seeing Itami and Tozawa every week. Like, they're the opening match every single week. Other than, I think last week they main evented.
Right, because I feel like these are the guys that are kind of in the mushy middle, and they're
time fillers. They're time fillers.
Yeah, wins and losses are going to move them up or down the card, basically.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know. The guys I want to see every week.
Like the Pop Punk kid?
Oh, God, I'm so glad we haven't seen him in 2 or 3 weeks.
What the hell happened to him?
He just disappeared. There's been no mention of him. He had that feud with Gulak for like 2 weeks, then he disappeared. I wonder if he's hurt or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't heard anything about him.
This is Drake Maverick's best friend, and he's going to do everything he can to help him, and then he just disappears.
And he's gone. Who knows? Maybe he's like working in the indies or something outside of that. I doubt it. If you're on 205, you're in it.
Yeah.
So, who knows? I don't care enough about him to really research and see. So, let's talk about the main event, shall we?
Yeah, please do.
Kalisto and Gulak.
Did you love this match?
I did.
I know you did.
I did. Anytime I see Gulak win, I love it. It was a really good match. Kalisto's put on good matches recently.
I believe that you are a closeted Kalisto fan at this point.
I believe you are wrong, sir.
Really? Still?
No.
Wow. After all the good matches you've seen.
Not there. After all the good matches, I've seen him lose.
Yeah,
it makes it enjoyable for me.
He's doing great work in putting people you like over. So what's the harm?
Just his dumb gimmick, but
I'm buying you that mask.
Don't you dare.
That's gonna be, oh my god, if you ever win the Botch Championship, I'm going to put it in that mask and deliver it to you.
Don't do that.
So you have to go through the mask to get to the belt.
You're going to get a return to sender on the mask.
Then I'll still be champion.
Listen, I don't want a lucha mask that has what looks like a penis on the back of it. I don't feel comfortable wearing that.
It's just a little tail. Whatever.
Is it? It's a very phallic looking SBL. It's very phallic.
When we go to Extreme Rules, I'm wearing a Kalisto mask. Sitting next to you all night, like, oh, brother, look at me in the mask.
Dare. No.
I'm doing it.
Don't, please don't. Oh, God,
Cutting promos all night long.
I mean, you probably couldn't do that if you're wearing the Kalisto mask. I mean, he doesn't really cut promos.
Oh, they'll just be shitty promos.
Oh, you'll just talk about how you're a good lucha son.
Right.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to hearing that for 4 hours.
Just run out of the screen.
You keep running down the aisle.
Yeah,
that'll be accurate. All right, let's hop into NXT land this week. It was an okay show. Didn't hold up like last week did.
I liked it. The one we're gonna talk about what I had a big problem with, but I actually liked it. We'll talk about the third thing.
Okay.
Very soon.
So we start with an Undisputed Era promo, which you can never go wrong with.
Right.
'Twas good. Then we get Kairi Sane versus Shazza McKenzie. Mm-hmm. Shazza. So I don't remember ever seeing her before, so she's a fresh face, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Or jobbies.
Yeah,
little indie jobby.
That's the thing though. With NXT, I don't think they really do jobbers. I think they just do people that are like new.
Yeah, maybe.
Because what's the point of really having a job?
Yeah,
I'm
you're
sure
right.
They have enough that are sitting back in the performance center that are like,
right. You're right.
They're like doing well enough to get.
They
their
literally
ass
have
beat.
a sea of unseen talent at their disposal.
Yeah, but it's weird because this girl reminded me of like Alexa Bliss when she first came into NXT and had that stupid fairy gimmick.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it totally reminded me of that.
Oh, that was so weird.
It was super weird, especially seeing where she is now and looking back at some of those old matches that she had where she come out and like blow fairy dust and shit.
Yes. Oh my god, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it was really cringeworthy, and so was this girl.
Yeah, what a strange idea.
Yeah, and she was not great in the ring either. Like she sold terribly. She actually made Kairi Sane look bad, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't think it really elevated Kairi at all. You know, she's a complete badass, and this girl just all the spots just looked really terrible. Mm-hmm. It wasn't real smooth in the ring. You know, the only thing that looked good was Kairi's elbow, which will always look good because you just have to lay there and take it.
Right.
So I don't know. It didn't do anything for me at all. It didn't do anything for Kairi either, I don't think.
Not a Shazza fan, eh?
Not a Shazza fan. In fact, I hope not to see Shazza for a year or two until she really develops if they're going to keep her.
Right. She just needs a tune-up.
Right. Lose the fairy gimmick. You know?
Oh, yeah. Never have a fairy gimmick. I mean, to be fair, never have a pirate gimmick either, but I digress.
I've been saying since day one the pirate gimmick is the only thing I hate about her.
Can I tell you the gimmick that I love? And it's a perfect segue. And I saw this before I ever saw her on TV. The Lacey Evans thing where she's like a pinup girl. I think that is cool as shit. I think that costume looks awesome. And I saw it on Instagram even before I ever saw her wrestle because someone like promoted her on an indie show or something. And I was like, dude, this like little getup kicks ass. But then I saw her wrestle and I was like, you're okay.
The getup doesn't hold up to the wrestling.
Yeah.
It's okay. It reminds me of something I'd see in like Street Fighter. But, you know, whatever. I'm on the fence with Lacey Evans. I don't know how to feel about her yet.
I just am not a huge fan of her work, but I love the idea behind the outfit being like a, you know, like I said, like a pinup girl or something, like a 50s model or something.
I mean, in the end, I feel like she won't make Kairi look any worse than Shazza did.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. They've had matches before too, so they're used to each other.
Yeah, exactly. Next, we get that Candice LeRae backstage promo, her crying a bunch, and she's a pretty good actress.
This is the part that I hated.
The Candice LeRae backstage promo?
Yeah.
What did you hate about it?
Because Candice LeRae kicks ass, and making her cry is like kind of taking her agency away, I feel like.
It makes her look weak.
Look, I'm not like a
weak bitch.
Right. Like, I'm not a big white knighter. Like, oh, I've got to defend all women's, you know, agency and everything. But, like, I just feel like Candice LeRae kicks ass, and when you change her character into someone that is a whiner, then the idea of her kicking ass kind of becomes secondary to me. And I feel like I just want her to be awesome. Because I think she, honestly, is a great wrestler. She's probably the only... This may be a little bit of a stretch because Kairi is really good too. But she may be the only female in NXT that is like a world-class wrestler.
And they're making her look really bad at this point because she's gotten looped into the Johnny.
Exactly. She's like, oh, I'm just a girlfriend. That's all I am. I'm just a sad girlfriend. And it's like, yeah, but like, remember when you kicked everyone's ass all the time? Even dudes? That was pretty cool. Yeah.
And the great match she had with Zelina Vega a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's done great stuff in NXT already. She had one great match in NXT already. And now, I mean, I guess while we're talking about her, let's just move into that match. her and Bianca Belair. I mean, I understand she's still playing up the whole, I'm super sad, Johnny's in the hospital, blah, blah, blah. But man, she got her ass whooped. Like, she looked terrible.
Yeah, that was like a total sell job.
Yep. And that's all
try to
it was.
Build Bianca. And I feel like that's what it is they're trying to make Candice the female Gargano, even so much as to try to use sympathy from his storyline. But I feel like this girl has such an upside with an identity of her own that she doesn't need Johnny Gargano to make her good or look cool. Bayley didn't need a dude. Sasha didn't need a dude. The fact of the matter is, some of these female wrestlers are so good, and like it just kind of cuts their legs out from under them to imply even. And I know that no one is saying this. No one has come out and said like, oh, well, Candice only cared. Like Candice's story is just dependent on Johnny's, but it sends a subliminal message that like what this girl is worth. And I know we've been through this, but the maximum value of this person is how she feels about another person. And that just, man, it sucks because she is such a great wrestler.
Yeah, it seems to me that in a lot of cases like that, they need to move away from the old guard, where it was the girls and the women support a lot of the men's storylines. Mm-hmm. You know, if you look back even, 5-6 years ago, the women were just there to be, yeah, exactly. The women were there to be managers and to, move some dude's storyline forward instead of them having an identity of their own. And I feel like with her, they're going back to that old guard again, where she's just trying to push Johnny and, Ciampa's story forward. And it's putting her, like kicking her to the wayside and her path.
And it would be fine. And I feel like they're doing it because the Johnny Tommaso thing is the hottest thing going. So they want her to get a little bit of some heat off that. But the problem, like, it's fine if you do that to someone like Shazza McKenzie, who can't really, is kind of new and can't really work to put. Actually, I'll go a step further and say it was great that they did that when they did it with Alexa Bliss when she was there, because she was not a good worker, but she was a good character. And so when they put her with Buddy Murphy and whoever the fuck, I can't even remember the other guy's name. Oh shit. Oh, who cares? When they put her with the Murphys, and they were tag champs, she was great because she was just getting she was just a heat magnet, and she was getting all of the residual heat from that tag team. And I feel like that worked because she wasn't a good worker. But, like, does Candice need that? I don't think so, man. I think that Candice just needs to be an awesome wrestler.
Period. And I hope that's kind of the reason I was hoping Johnny would get called up sooner than he is, because that would allow her to kind of stand on her own down in NXT without having to be involved in that storyline. And I mean, that's the thing now is the WWE needs great, strong women wrestlers at this point because their division is so small to the point where, they're talking about doing a tag team division up there, but they don't have enough women to do a tag team division.
And it's so scattered where, like, you still have women near the top of the roster that are not great workers just because they need people to pepper in with everyone else.
Carmella.
All right, man. I wasn't going there, but cool.
Got to keep it 100, bro.
Was there something in your throat? You may need a drink of water, sir.
Yeah, I took a drink. I needed to get that out.
100.
Moving on.
All right. Cool.
Don't care about the Lars Sullivan video promo. Street Profits versus TM61. I don't care about either one of these teams.
I like that they're kind of choosing a direction with TM61 as in making them heels. So that's fine. Whatever. Moving on.
I guess. So they set up War Raiders versus Heavy Machinery next week. Surprised they're doing this one so early. I figured they would kind of let that brew for a little bit, but
yeah, this feels like a takeover match, if only to see just big dudes smash things.
That's basically it. Well, I feel like with them, a takeover match would be like a no DQ or like an Extreme Rules type thing, and I hope they move towards that because that would be awesome to see 300 pound dudes go through tables.
Do those exist anymore, really?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of do. But they just call them, TLC matches now.
Yeah, see, it's funny when we bought our Extreme Rules tickets. I was thinking the entire time I was checking out, like, extreme. Is that the word that we're going to use?
It's not as extreme as it used to
for a
be.
show that we won't even see blood in. And don't get me wrong, I'm not like a EC dub, like, oh, I just need everything to be gore. Like, I hate gore, as a matter of fact. But, like, is it extreme? I don't know. Maybe the wrestling will be pretty extreme, and that's a best case scenario.
Exactly. Then we get a Cassius Ohno backstage promo about the Gargano and Ciampa feud. He talks some shit about Ciampa, and that basically set up a match for next week with them. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all know who that's going to end.
Yeah, it bums me out because the more I think about it, and I've actually spent a considerable time thinking about it today because NXT was last night, but man, it just bums me the F out that Cassius Ohno is now this guy, you know?
Yep.
Like, he is one of the best workers in the company, top to bottom. He hit his strikes look better than anyone else's strikes. Roddy Strong is up there, but he's so awesome. And because I feel like the company sees him in a certain light, and that light being a little bit of a heavier light, like a blotting out the sun, sort of. So maybe not a light, maybe the reverse of a light.
So you're saying he wears the basketball jersey for a reason?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because he's got a saggy chubster body. But here's the thing. That doesn't matter because he is an excellent worker. And I really feel like his moveset and the way that he presents his strikes, especially like when he hits an elbow, he does that slap so it sounds like,
like it's hitting something.
Like a damn firecracker went off on someone's face. And when he hits his, spinning lariat kick thing, it just all, like, everything that he does is so awesome. And
it just gives you all the feels.
Dude, his matches are great. He is more athletically gifted, just straight up. I'm not saying that. I'm a huge KO fan. I'm probably arguably a way bigger Bray Wyatt fan than I should be, but neither of those dudes can do a kip up. It just, it is what it is. But Cassius Ohno, at his size, fucking flies like a gazelle. And flies like a flying gazelle.
Like a flying gazelle.
With like horrific sounding elbows. And he's a great worker, and his rate, his work rate is excellent. And dude, I know that I'm giving like a freaking full impassioned,
You're giving Ohno a pretty good rub right now.
I'm giving a Jeff Winger speech right now, but
in more ways than one.
Yeah, right. But dude, it bums me out, man. That's all. Like, I just feel like he's so fucking good, and he's just gonna, lose again, just like he lost it last takeover, and he lost to Keith Lee, and then
unless Johnny comes back and interferes in some way, which is also a possibility. Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll see next week. If anything, it may make for at least like 3/4 of a good match.
Especially like, I know I'm going literally in the same diatribe again, but at his size, you would think like you want to make him look like a freaking tank, but
they don't.
But they don't.
Yep.
So whatever.
Nope, they don't. All right. Speaking of things that bum me out, Kona Reeves debuted.
What?
Well, I should say, quote unquote, debuted. Oh my god. Okay, so let me give you guys a little bit of background on who Kona Reeves is, and then you can make your own decisions on him. I have already made mine, and it is final. So Kona Reeves is a Samoan. So right off the bat, Vince McMahon's jerking off to him. Trained under Afa Noai.
Right off the bat, they're like, "Oh, he's The Rock." I get it. And it's
yep.
Like, no.
Yeah. That's the first thing Mauro Ranallo says about him. Mm-hmm. Kona really is inspired by The Rock. Well, no shit, man. No shit. His His gimmick is the dumbest thing I've seen. He says, "I'm the finest." He said it like 12 times. Like, we get it, bro. We get it. You don't know how to speak, and that's the only thing that you're going to continually say over and over again.
And you're wearing a blazer.
People are going to hate you for the wrong reasons, and it's already happening.
Right.
So his finisher sucks. Mm-hmm. A reverse Samoan drop. Come on, bro. Come up with something else. I mean, he's awkward in the ring, and also looks like John Morrison 0.5. I don't want to say 2.0 because I don't want to give him that credit. He's John Morrison 0.5.
He's like the one half Morrison.
Yeah, he's half of what John Morrison was. And that's giving him too much credit. This dude sucks.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, I didn't like him at all. I feel like, why spend the time developing a character when the character sucks?
It's super terrible. And this is this dude's second ditch effort in NXT.
Yeah, which I found out this week. I didn't even remember him before, which I feel like says a lot.
It does. It 100% does. This dude has nothing to add to the brand whatsoever, and I hope they drop him like a bad habit, because there are so many other better dudes out there that deserve the TV time than this guy. Ugh, God. I hate the fact that bloodlines dictate where your position is with the company right off the bat.
Well, here's the thing. I don't care so much about that, but like, just let him work at the Performance Center, and then if he never develops, you can just let him go.
Cut him. Don't give him TV time. Don't build him up for 2 weeks with those stupid video promos. Like, Kona Reeves is coming, and I am the finest. I am the finest. What does it mean? What does that mean? Makes no sense.
He's the finest, man.
I guess. Finest at what? Not wrestling. All right. Finally, we get EC3 back next week, which I'm super excited about. They didn't say who he was getting paired up with, though.
Mm-mm.
I don't think. Or was it? No.
I don't know. I don't remember that ever being discussed.
Oh, Raul Mendoza. That's who he's going against next week. So EC3 is going to get a big W next week.
Good for
It'd be good to see him actually in the ring. It'd be his first time in the ring since TakeOver.
Yeah, I'm excited.
At least on TV. I know he's been doing a lot of the live events and stuff. So
when he picks up the mic, I love his promos.
Me too. It hits me in all the right places. Mm-hmm. Anyways, moving on. Dakota Kai promo. Vanessa Bourne cuts in. Didn't really care much for any of that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Kind of dumb. So finally, let's move to our main event of the night. I mean, we kind of knew how this was going to end, but still, it was a joy to watch while it happened. Good old Pete Dunne versus Roddy Strong. Mm-hmm. And this is just the beginning of this, I think.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, these are two great workers, so I hope it's the beginning.
You know it's the beginning. It's only the beginning.
Well, they're going to need to end, it can't end like this for sure.
It'll go to a TakeOver, and it's going to be a great TakeOver match, too. Well, see, I say that, but then I think about how Roderick is half of the tag team with Kyle O'Reilly as well, and right. I'd hate to see them left off a pay-per-view. So maybe Pete Dunne finds a partner again. I don't know who, though. There's no one out there that I can see him pairing up with. I mean, you already got Mustache Mountain doing their thing.
I was going to say what they could do, which I would be opposed to, but what they could do is do everyone versus...
Like a six-man tag, like Mustache Mountain and Pete Dunne. And
exactly.
So like all of British Strong style. That you know what? That's a strong possibility that happens.
I would be opposed to because I want to see Adam Cole. Like, I would hate for them to create a belt that's already not getting defended enough.
Well, he defended it last week.
Yeah, but man, it needs to be defended at a TakeOver.
You're right. It definitely does. And you can see that they're building the Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch angle as well with for going with it for the tag team belts. So with them coming in and making the save at the end. So I'm interested to see where they're going with this.
Right.
And to see
that's true. It could just also just be Burch and Lorcan.
Yep. But that's pretty much it. That does it.
Can I ask you a question before we're done? What is the thing in the entire company, as far as feuds, matches, etc., that you were the most excited about?
Huh. Man, that's a really good question. Let me think about it for a second.
Okay, because mine is actually Pete Dunne and Roddy Strong.
I mean, I'm definitely pretty excited to see that. Just based on the match they just had.
When I think about what we're about to witness this Sunday, as opposed to what's happening in NXT right now, it feels like the wrong people are in the wrong brands to me.
It's not that the wrong people are in the wrong brands. It's that the wrong writers are in the wrong brands. Because there are strong players everywhere. There are so many great characters on Raw and SmackDown, and they just aren't used correctly.
You're right.
That's really the problem. Like, I'm still excited about the Rollins and Finn.
Yeah,
feud.
that's a good point. They're great workers. Okay.
There's a lot that I'm excited about still. It's just that there are a lot of matches this weekend for Backlash that I'm not excited for. It's such a throwaway pay-per-view. It's like Greatest Royal Rumble Part 2. Or
Part 3. It's WrestleMania Part 3.
Yeah, it's WrestleMania Part 3. But a much lesser version. Why
it's
I
lesser.
Honestly,
wait. Hold on. It's Lesser Mania.
Lesser Mania.
Huh? That's a t-shirt.
I like it. Hold on to that one. I think they need to start doing a takeover at each pay-per-view. Like a smaller takeover. Maybe not call it a takeover, but have it be a part of it.
Here's the thing, because I love where your head's at, but here is why that gives me a lot of fear. I think the reason that we hold some of these guys so dear, Ricochet, EC3, Candice, Roddy, Pete Dunne, is because, unlike in WWE, you don't have 3 hours to fill where you've got to put a ton of guys out there and they wear out their welcome because you use them every single week.
And they're doing the same things over and over again because you run out of ideas.
Same matches with the same people over and over because, you have to put them in the ring with someone they work with constantly so that it looks good on TV. And I really feel like part of the magic of both 205 and NXT is that we get like a 2 or 3 week break from most of these guys so they don't overstay their welcome. All the while they're working house shows together, so they're getting used to working with other people. And it's not just because I feel like if you're doing match after match every single week, all the same guys, then you get sick of them. That said, Undisputed Era is on almost every single week, and I never get sick of them.
Nope.
So, maybe it's a little of everything. Or maybe it's just knowing where to pick your spots and knowing what guys to use every week and what guys to hold off.
True. I mean, especially with the new guys with like Ricochet and EC3, I think they're still kind of developing them a little bit. They're learning the ways of WWE and how to come up in that system. So they're holding them back a little bit more, which is allowing, guys like Undisputed Era to spend more time on TV. And I mean, if you look at even Ciampa and Gargano, their story is on TV a little bit every week just to kind of like keep it fresh in people's minds, but they themselves don't appear every week.
Exactly.
You didn't get either one of them this week at all. Mm-hmm. And then next week we're getting a Ciampa match, which we need because we haven't seen him outside of just the Gargano thing for a while. So,
agreed.
They're doing it right. The fact that it's just an hour is a great thing and also a little bit of a sad thing because you just want more of that because they're doing such a good job of it. But I think they're doing just such a good job because there's less time to fill every week. So
absolutely.
I at one point I would love to go to Full Sail for a taping that they do just to see how they do all of that in 4 hours, like doing a month's worth of stuff in 4 hours there, 5 hours.
I was going to say, I bet the crowd gets exhausted, but then I realized people sit through 4 hour pay-per-views like every Sunday. So exactly.
It really seems like every Sunday now. God. They need to scale back the pay-per-views.
Yeah, man.
That's a discussion for another day. Well, I am, as they say in the South, slap wore out.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's a stupid saying.
It's so dumb.
It sounds very Southern.
It's dumb as hell. Yeah, we've exhausted everything we've got this week. So like we said at the top of the show, make sure you follow us on the social medias at BotchCast. Facebook at Botchcast, Twitter Botchcast, wrestlingbotchcast.com. Get us on there. We'll have our Patreon up and rolling within the next couple of weeks. So make sure you check that out when we get it going. We're going to have some really, really cool stuff on there. I think as we talked about on the Backlash episode, if you didn't check that one out, check it out before Sunday. We got our predictions in place to see who is going to win the Bot Championship this week.
You mean retain?
Win the Bot Championship this week.
I think you're saying it wrong. It's retain.
No, I said it right the first time. I definitely said it right.
How come it doesn't sound like that when I say it?
I don't know. I think you're saying the words in the wrong order.
Retain,
like the wrong words.
Retain.
Sure. You work on that this weekend, and we will be back next week for another full episode covering everything going on in the land of wrestling. Thank you guys for listening, especially you UK folks over there. Shouts out to the UK. We've had a bunch of downloads in the UK.
UK. Later.
We love you guys.
Marks.